Well, hello there, everybody. How are you doing on this Friday? Fall has arrived. Yes, it is fall weather. Beautiful. My favorite time of the year. And so it's my wife's the same. So we enjoy it. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Let me get over here. And there I am. At least that's what I think. Hey, YouTube, it's like going around and around. There we go. So, how is everybody? Good day, isn't it? As I always say, favor be upon us all, nothing missing, nothing broken. That's the way I look at it. Hey, Lost in Space, how are you doing? Goddess, good to see you. And Jeanette, what's up? Deborah, Greedy. Brenda, how you doing, darling? Good to see you. Bonnie and Ann, good to see you as well. Scotty boy, what's up? Wow. So, Rick, what's up? Boom. Good to see y'all. I think I've seen Francis in there. Yeah, it's a good day. Yeah, I like it. The energy is good. Yeah, it's even. So this is Friday, and I could have done a whole theme topic. Hey, Go, all the way from Croatia. How you doing? Shadow Files, what's up? Good to see you, Jules. Much love to you, darling. Haven't seen you in a while. Purgatory Traveler, what's up as well? Mary Wins, hello, John Price. Nina, how are you? Good to see you. Y'all had a good show yesterday. So I said, well, let's just open it up to some Q&A, and I think we might go over some of the comments that have been made. Kind of get to them. Kind of a shout out to Colleen, love the picture, and Susan, Who else? Robert Scott, appreciate you, brother. I don't always respond to emails, but I do read them. Gilbert, who I think's in the house. Brian, what's up? Good to see you. Uma, hello. Gilbert Smith is going in for Gilbert. Am I right on this? As I read the text, it's a full shoulder replacement. So he's not going to have use of his arm for like 6 months. So folks, be sending the power of thought to him. Healing. Yeah, that's a pretty radical surgery. So, we're going to stand strong on that one for sure. Gilbert, we love you. And Gilbert's a good soul. Really is. I've met him, and, rides a nice bike too. A Harley, I believe. Yeah. Well, of course it is. What do you expect? So anyway, did y'all see the story that in New Mexico, in this lake, they found human footprints? And by the dating, who knows what time it is. I think Chicago had a song like that. But anyway, they estimate these human footprints to be 21 to 23,000 years ago. So what the hell were those people doing? Running from the dinosaurs? Or were they wondering where the lions are? Wonder where the lions are. Love that song, Been thinking about eternity, It kind of goes anyway, interesting because we've been talking this week. I think this topic is one that probably invokes a lot of cognitive dissonance. People, it's very difficult when you start challenging the thought process to define what it is that you're believing, that you molded your life after. And the biggest one that no one can answer, isn't it odd? Thousands of views and no one can answer. Hey, Shirley, good to see you. This one question: who is the Father? In the New Testament, it brings in a new entity, a new deity. Now, we pretty well have disproven that there's any connection between this new supposed testament to the Old Covenant Testament. And so we know that these two gods are not the same. And again, this is what happens when you make up religions. Actually, I think it's always been the same religion. It's just adaptive to many. And then again, and most of us here in the West, we are not versed on Eastern culture. So there's a whole part of this equation. I want to get, and I'm seeking out this to get someone who is well versed in Hindu and Indian beliefs. India there's some stuff there's things happening still there that defy science, defies the laws of physical laws. I mean, it's a rich history. And again, when this new worm took over, it had to eliminate all other potential threats to its existential existence. And in the West, let's just be honest. If you live in Western Europe and the United States, you're brainwashed. You're brainwashed. Right there with you. No exemptions here. We all have been. Now, it has been a hell of a climb out of the pit to get to a place where, I don't know, I can speak only for myself, where there's peace. There is that peace. Someone wrote me and said, well, what do you actually believe? The thing I can actually believe in is myself. That is the totality of the evidence of my existence. If I don't believe in myself, then all the rest of it doesn't matter. That's what I believe. Now, if you want to get further into minutiae of it, I happen to believe that, there is an architect. Something had to have thought of this. Now, as to what that is, it's no white bigoted dude that can't comb its hair or understand what a toothbrush or a razor is, but and apparently, has some real challenges. But and my wife and I were talking about this last evening during dinner. There is a price to be paid. I mean, we are not on the A list. At least those who have like-minded thoughts. And we've been ostracized. The scarlet A. Red Herring Media, how are you? Yeah. So I will find someone, and if you may know of anyone, let me know. Because I find myself being drawn more and more to, and I'm reading white papers, academic papers right now. And man, I love it. There's truth, there's gnosis here. You may say it's occultish. I don't think so at all. It's a beautiful belief system, one that has more foundation in reality than any other religion I've read. I think these blue people, these blue beings, I believe they were in fact here. I don't know what the hell happened. I mean, I don't know. Did they see this other thing come in? Was this much like Yellow Rose of Texas has brought out this galactic war? And we perceive it from such a narrow perspective. We're so limited. Heaven? You really think there's a heaven? Do you really think there's a hell? No. But is it something similar? Probably. Someone asked me I was writing on near-death experiences, NDEs, and was wondering why are those, and there's not many. By percentage, it's very small, but those who have a near-death experience and experience death in the time that they see a Jesus, it's because they expect to see it. Someone's saying, well, what do you expect to see? Hey, I'm going to my beach. If there's this moment of reflection or whatever, fine. You'll find me on my beach, and I'll be just fine. Thank you. Hey, Off to Hook, what's up? Margaret McKenzie, War in Heavens. Yeah, I'm just going to go through here some of the comments. So why would they see it? Well, that's what they expect to see. We're so influenced by, I think of JD, and how you doing, JD? There's ways of, as I see so many in many different beliefs, is that, isn't it what we're trying to do is to touch another intellect? I mean, if you go by, the story, these demons and these angels are ageless. What is the guy's name? Morgue. I'll have to find it, but I've been watching some of his stuff, and it's really interesting. Little factoid here. So in the 1600s, there was this nun, and she was apparently possessed of the devil. The story goes that she, for days and days, was in agony and torment. And apparently she succumbed to the devil. And she began to write. And as she was writing, none of the bishops, no one of the church could read what she was writing in this letter. It was eventually deciphered and interpreted, and apparently this is Lucifer, which we know that doesn't exist. So you have to go with the devil, because the devil's been around long before we came around. Whatever the devil may be. But anyway, the devil writes this honest letter to humanity. And how many of you know, I have to go back and see what the name, yes, more official. Thank you, Pin Greedy. Yeah, check him out. How do you get a nun pregnant? I got to stop reading this thing. I'll interrupt your thoughts. Hey, Divine Empress, good to see you, darling cowboy. What's up? So anyway, the long of the story is, this is apparently Satan's message to humanity. The God that you worship, humans, which is the God of the Bible, which there's many gods of that. There's at least 5 that I know of. But anyway, the God of the Bible, here is why he's imperfect. Because he actually thinks he can save mortals. That is basically what the message was. Had a little bit more detail to it, but yeah. That this God, the reason why it's imperfect, because it has this idea that it somehow can save mortals. Now, you step back and you think about that and you go, So that would imply that we are the mortals. Okay. Which then implies that there is this other class, I guess. I don't know if it's a species. I don't know what you would call it. But apparently they are immortal. Now, we go by the delusion that we actually have a soul. We think that. Well, people argue with you, all right, whatever the hell we got. I don't think we know. But anyway, we got something. But apparently that something, by that whole thing, because you want to be born again. That was the whole Christian thing. That's why you wanted a savior, because you were mortal. You could be transformed into immortality, right? But apparently that's not true. Sapiens says, why save us from what? Yeah, exactly. I mean, so what you're saying is God of the Old Testament is insane. While by the modern definition of laws on our books, yes, quite insane. And I'll answer a question someone wanted. They said they were having a difficult time finding, particularly in the book of Joshua, where God commanded wiping them all out. I have that pulled up for you so you can actually see it for yourself. But anyway, so that's the deal. We're mortals, and it's kind of the belief of what I have read of the ancients. They didn't see an afterlife. This was it. What you had here, that was it. And when that moment comes for you to depart, that was it. Now, our view today, and we have the equipment and we have the technology that says, well, maybe not so fast there, because we can capture people, dead people, but they're not dead. Because if we can capture them in another form, then that means that this was the death realm. They died. They had an experience in death, and now they're free. I mean, isn't the whole idea of rest in peace? No, your ass is going to the salt mine. You're going to be the chamber boy for, a big old fat guy who just craps in the night, and you have to carry out his crap and his piss, and that's going to be your eternity. Yeah. Listen, I'm just kidding here, because we all believe or hope to believe that, there is this next place, and I somewhat debate that, because I'm getting an echo box, and it's probably some of the best technology I've seen of actually being able to pick up EVPs, in a sense of real time. Anyway, it appears that many people are trapped. They're trapped. When they lay these bodies down, something is going on there. And it seems to be completely non-discriminatory in age. Children, older people. There seems to be, and we read a document here. We didn't go all the way through it. I'd have revisit that. Ghostland. It's probably one of the most unique points of view of what waits, unfortunately, for many human souls. There is this place that they don't tell us about. And apparently a lot of people are trapped there, and we're not talking just a few. Yeah, I see, Joe, we all got our own beliefs. Yeah, hey, Lori, what's up? Good to see you, Robert V. Hello. I mean, you have your own belief. I have mine. Quite frankly, I don't really have a belief. I am convinced that consciousness transcends this thing called the corporeal experience. I believe that. I believe consciousness is which truly we are. Now, I don't know if consciousness needs intelligence to exist. It would almost appear it doesn't. There's a good philosophical question for the day. Does consciousness require intelligence? What say you in Robert V? Right back at you, brother. Favor. Scotty said, I believed in something once, once. But seriously, so the question, everyone in the chat room, much love to you. Thank you. Yes, I believe. Okay. Morgan, thank you. Rick, thank you as well. All right. Yeah. Well, good. I appreciate that. That's good feedback. Because it's a question. I mean, I do believe in consciousness. I mean, if consciousness is it's this multiplicity. It's when I was back in the day when I worked in high-end computer animation, I sold that. It was fun. Yeah. Those were good days. But anyway, the thing I always loved about the creative aspects of selling something that was so technical, because what you're dealing with is manipulation of video creation, creating things in a 3D environment, which, it was just fabulous. But my point to all that being is that it required, you have to be able to sell the untangible and making it tangible. Well, that's a discipline. I was good at it. I excelled at it. Made the companies I worked for tens of millions of dollars. And as an entrepreneur, I have a guy on my LinkedIn profile that wants to come on and talk about entrepreneurship. Would y'all like to have that? But anyway, as I see it today, that has aided me so well in being able to take that ability that I had and now apply it in a philosophical approach, particularly where my consciousness is concerned. So again, someone says, what is intelligence is knowing? I don't know. We all have our approach on that, because when you die, your spirit body is the vehicle. See, consciousness is the cord to immortality. Well, surely then what you're saying then is where the gods, Jesus, Muhammad, all of them said that we're mortal. Their promise is that they're going to give us immortality. But it's an interesting point. Are we, here's what I'm thinking. So I believe I existed before I came into this realm. My consciousness has been framed within the confines of this realm, but I believe that I existed before I was physically born into death. And I did that whole video 5 years ago on the birthright. And so if I existed, and even if you look at the theory of recycle, everything's in a cycle, reincarnation, I don't believe in that. I'm not saying it doesn't form and exist, but I don't believe the numbers are all wrong. But anyway, I digress on that aspect. But if I came into here and I was conscious before I was consciously aware here, wouldn't that imply immortality? Somewhat? A little bit? It would, wouldn't it? I always found one of the interesting things in my Bible studies in the day was that in Psalms, I think it's Psalms 82, maybe 84, but in there, do you know that Yahweh is going to die? Yeah, apparently these Elohim, because that's the word that's used in Psalms, is they die. just like we do. Maybe that's why they hate us so much. Maybe we represent that constant reality that as we die, so will you. Interesting. Rick says many people have died and come back telling such wonderments. Are those NDEs, or are you talking about reincarnation on that? Hey, Chloe, how are you doing, darling? Good to see you. Rexus, my Netflix. No way, Yahweh. High five on that one, Rexus. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I could make a T-shirt out of that one. I love it. I love it. I love it. Wesley says, Jesus told you, tell the vision. You didn't tell it. What? Oh, let's see. I got to read that. No time to talk. Hey, Wesley. Hey, the way I look at it, man, it's your interpretation, brother. Because, again, I started this segment out. No one has told me who the Father is. No one. Because you can't say, someone wrote me and said, this is and apparently it got, the thing started, zipping out, when you unraveling. And the person said, there's no way my Jesus is akin to this Yahweh. Yeah, it is one and the same. I don't care what you say. It's one and the same. Now, if you say that the Father has no inference or relation at all with the Old Testament God, well, now we got to get to find who the Old Testament God is. We know what Yahweh is. We know what the Elohim was. We know what Jehovah. Jehovah seems to be another entity by some interpretation. You stop believing in them and they die. There you go. Jules, we are eternal. And although my body will soon be ash, treated as a beautiful, blessed vessel. Yeah. Hey, I dig that. But anyway, and this person was having a difficult time. I know what you went through. Because this is a whole different God. Now, some say, well, no, it's Enki, Enlil. I don't know. All I know is this. If you can't tell me where it came from, you can't tell me where it's going. You can't tell me that this has any legitimacy. Unless you believe it. And then once you start believing it, it's real, right? What else going on? I'm still convinced we can transmute our solidity, play around with it. There are beliefs of yogi masters that believe that as well. Yeah. Masterminds that I say our true nature is the void, infinite possibilities awaiting to manifest. It's interesting that you mentioned that. One of my favorite books, and I do highly recommend you get this, is F. Paul Wilson's Night World. And when you realize that, I love what Wilson did on here, you find out who Rassalam is. Yeah. I'll just read you this little excerpt here. I love this book. Rassalam is not his birth name, not the one his mother bestowed on him. He discarded that back in the first stage when the otherness held more sway in this sphere. When he tapped into that mother lode of power and strangeness, he took on a new name, a true name. He had protected like a wolverine guarding her young. But the time of secrecy is past. He can now shout his true name anywhere on the planet, and it will not matter. Rassalam, Rassalam, Rassalam. What I love about the concept, and if you've ever read the story, I keep telling you, it's one of these books that you don't put down. I mean, it's one that you will find yourself reading till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, because it opens up a whole new perspective of what this reality is. The sphere that we are in is the possession of what we call the otherness. And the otherness isn't an entity. It isn't an individuality. It's none of that. It's above that. And it's not just it. Apparently, there's different type of othersness. They move within universes. They absorb them. And some they discard. There's never really a battle because it doesn't think that way. But what happens to the other souls, other life forms that are within these spheres, that's when it gets weird. Anyway, Off the Hook, I'm telling you, you will love it. In fact, you'll get hooked like I did. F. Paul Wilson, I like his writings. He's brought back Repairman Jack. I often say that they're going to have to make movies of this, because when they do, finally, I always see Tom Cruise as Repairman Jack. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, 111 watching. There you go. There's that 111. There we are. So anyway, now let me get to what I wanted to say. And so this is to the individual that was looking for this. So if you remember yesterday, this is the list of all the atrocities that God of the Bible has committed upon our species. Now, someone wrote me and said, this is a really interesting, this person is actually a professor who listens, thank you, says you really bring up a very good point. From a species perspective, this God is not our ally. It's very apparent that it comes from a different realm, a different existence, and it's trying to imprint itself upon this sphere, us. And you can see what happens when you go against it. It kills, it murders. Someone was saying, well, where is this one where, God told them to, cut the babies out and what have you? Depending on your version, I would suggest you read it all. But this is in the book of Joshua. And this is when God stopped the earth. It's literally what had to happen. I mean, there's no way that if the sun isn't progressing in the sky, and we know that this phenomenon happened. The Chinese, they called it the endless dawn. We have records from Mesoamerica that they called it the endless night. So anyway, I just thought this was interesting because you have to take these words as to what they are. It says, and that day Joshua took Mercadan and smote it with the edge of the sword. The king, therefore, he utterly destroyed them and all the souls that were therein, and he let none remain. And he did the king of Mechandah as he did unto the king of Jericho. These are savages. We got this, and I had it. Listening to Kenneth Hagin and others teaching from this Old Testament, we had this crazy fucking view that this were, men of valor, men of honor, it was, the Bronze Age and, and they had refinement and there was this protocol. No, these were savages. But we hail them as some sort of Old Testament saints to be worshiped. adored. No, these were murderers. And then it says, then Joshua passed from Mechadiah and all Israel with him unto Libnah and fought against Libnah. And the Lord delivered it also. Okay, capital L all across. This is Yahweh, and the king thereof into the hand of Israel, and he smote it with the edge of the sword, and all the souls that there were in, he let none remain in it all, but did unto the king as he had done the other kings. And it just goes on and on. As you get deeper into this, it actually gets into, and I don't have near the time, but this will help you. And again, this is, again, dwindling in unbelief. This is the blogspot.com. And I need to put this in there because look at the references yourself and study it. That's how I learned. And if you're really interested in it, get yourself some, lexicons, so you can actually do the word study yourself and understand exactly. Because what we have here in the modern Bible is a milquetoast, watered down, limp noodle version. Because when you really read this, and David, this is God said, go kill the Philistines. God killed Nabal. I mean, on and on. So anyway, there you go. For what it's worth. I didn't write the story. They did. But again, I get right back down to this. Says, Lord reports to someone above. Yeah, but when it's all capital, that is the chief honcho, is it not? I think it is. But anyway, it's only good for rolling paper. Yeah, and I spent a fortune, and I mean, I've got Bibles that, trace. And when you read the tribal wars of Yahweh's tribes, the 12 tribes of Israel, that's another book. By the way, the person who was asking, can you show me where that is in the script? That particular book, and I'm looking at it right over there. I'll have to get it. But yeah, these were barbaric people. And yet today, we fashion our laws and beliefs after these savages. That's what they were. Cut your head off. There's some groups that still do that. I trust the Bible as much as I trust a fart with diarrhea. That's descriptive. I love that one. Just a reminder, kids, we are the champions of the world. There you go, Chloe. Yeah, it's exactly, darling. Because it's nuts. And again, I appreciate even my detractors. I mean, I get hate mail when I challenge people on this belief, because folks, why am I focused in on this? Because this is the pillar that has to be taken down. But there are billions of people who believe in this, and that's an egregore of a proportion that it wants nothing to do with us, because in the same sense, I want nothing to do with it. And there is a peace within me that surpasses my understanding that says, yeah, could be that when I pass from this realm, you just walk on by. Do, 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 do. I think that's what happens. I really do. Couldn't be, I wouldn't fit in. I mean, I would be the serious pain in its ass. You don't want that. You want everybody to believe like you do. Don't ask any questions. I need obedience. Yeah. The Metronics. and the false daisy of death flower of life. There's a lot out there. So, Thorn, no, I have not. But hey, and I got so much more to yet to learn. It never stops. Mary, I agree with you. I believe in us too. How about setting it right? Because there is something to it. I am a hard-headed pain in the well, come join me. You know, if you're going to be a pain in the ass, it's better to be with everybody else that's a pain in the ass. Then you one that no one wants us, you know? Can you say simulation? Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. This is so funny. So while we got some time, let's go over here and let's have some fun and see about any of the questions that let's see. So y'all talk amongst yourselves. I'm just kind of digging the view. And what a view it is. Let's stop that. There we go. And as this gets up here, yeah, there we go. Thought we might see some of the questions that were laid out yesterday. True Man says, thank you, Wayne, for being logical. Well, thank you, sir. I think I am logical. Try to be. I was never a Bible beater, but something never sat right with me. I finally broke the spell in late 2017. The veil was lifted when I discovered you. I appreciate the free thought about the slavery we have become victim to. One love and peace. Right on, brother. Thank you. Carol, I used to read these passages and try to rationalize why it seemed that the God of the Bible was bipolar. Seriously, yeah. I mean, there's enough drug commercials on television today that, would take care of that. I condemn myself for questioning, but I tell you what, Wayne, I crossed my eyes many times reading this stuff. Right there with you, Carol. Absolutely. Thank you for confirming my thoughts. The way I see it, I was condemned anyway based on how I interpreted a lot of the scriptures. Peace and much appreciation for saying it the way it is, Wayne. Thank you, Carol. It's funny, Lynn and I look back and, there was a time where I believe that if you tithe your day unto God, the Lord, that he would in turn bless you in the 100-fold return, according to Malachi 3:10 and 11. And that meant getting up many times at 4 o'clock in the morning. I think, and Lynn looked at me and she says, think about all the sleep that we could have had. Yeah. Ballot Brandon, that's it, Brandon. Love you, brother. Ballot Brandon is, well, I could say he's a protege. There's some good ones. John says, good sermon. You made me laugh, then said it straight up like it is. Thank you. Lee says, awesome show. You are so right. We are not part of the spell matrix. We are about love, freedom, and favor. Also remember the good old days when you and Jeffrey did the show, and also remember the Philosopher and Physicist. Yeah. Yeah. Those were creative shows all the way around. I mean, Not Your Normal Sunday with Jeffrey Doherty was phenomenal. It was a lot of fun. And the same thing with Dr. Claudia. Yeah. Sandra, thank you. You're amazing. This is time well spent. Thank you, John. Lynn Earthling, Ola Wayne, and when I was listening to your Library Lilith many years ago, I heard a loud and clear a voice in my head saying, "This is the closest to truth you can get." I have to agree with that. At Library Lilith, it liberated my mind, no doubt about it. And there's something. I mean, I wrote it out by hand. It's a stack that's big. It's right over there. You can see it now. And then, something about wing it. We have people from Scotland. This is Light Harvester. Hello from Scotland. Thank you for your work, my friend. A book you should read, and I've got this one I'm going to be looking at and reading it. We'll answer a lot of questions for you. You are spot on target. Fully agree with you, my friend. The book is called The Naked Bible. It's written by the ex-translator to the Pope, and he is exiled now. Please read this. I highly value your opinion. Well, I think this may be a fun one for us to do. I'm going to write this down. I think this is a good one for the group. What do y'all think? I'm going to do this. Thank you, Light Harvester. Thomas Baldy. Thank you, sir. Honored. Yeah, John Thayer says, I enjoyed Not Your Normal Sunday. Yeah, I agree with you. It was cool stuff. This guy says, saying things that aren't true detract from credibility. All teachers must be on guard by staying silent when they aren't sure if they know or not. 8 again. The devil took him up unto the exceedingly high mountain. All these things I will give you if you fall down and worship me. And as I wrote there, and you can see what I wrote, I said, the only problem is that that never happened. It's just a play of a make-believe actors in a play playing their role. I mean, why didn't Jesus say Lucifer? Why didn't Jesus say devil? And if Jesus was Jewish, then he would know that a Satan was never a personality. But if you have a Satan, you have an accuser. Anyway, don't get started on the other thing. Chance says, I'm just starting the show right now, so I haven't listened to it all, but I have been obsessed with this topic about 2 years. Is it possible that Jesus is Lucifer? There's a lot of theologians that would agree with you on that. And he descended to earth to ascend his throne above Yahweh, the angel of light in disguise to deceive the whole world. Is it possible that we are all worshiping Lucifer unbeknownst to us? Valid question. Again, I don't have a problem with Lucifer. I know where it came from, Jerome. I wrote someone, I said, and she's trying to, and I appreciate when people come in, they obviously haven't looked in the archives and realized that this group has done extensive study on the etymology of the word Lucifer. We know, but nevertheless, it is an egregore now. But I don't see it as negative. As the discussion, someone wrote to me, they said, all the information I've ever had of Lilith, and I said, the person said, and I studied Lilith, and then I hear you say how much you adore her. You don't have a problem. He said, how can you say that you're sane? How can you say that you're sane? If I read a bio on you that someone wrote that didn't like you, and then I met you, my mind is already bigoted against you. No matter how much sweet, enduring, loving person you may be. Your bio said that you were a son of a bitch, an incubus, a blood-sucking freeloader. Yeah. Someone said you should have Jason Bashir's. I've asked Jason on. I don't know. I heard that him and Jeff Doherty didn't have a good meeting. I don't know. But he's always welcome. Love to have him on. Did you know when they blew the ram's horn, it was to mimic the sound of a jackass, to call Yahweh? Yeah. Let's see. Loretta says there's only 2 times I can recall in the Bible that Satan did anything is when he asked, not commanded, Jesus to worship him, and he would give him command that all he saw from the mountaintop. I'm paraphrasing. Yep. In the Job, Satan, and by the way, that Satan there, Loretta, would be small s, was allowed by God to kill Job. Yeah. And isn't it odd that it wasn't actually Satan, it was this accuser? Because, the white people, man, they had to change the document to fit their dogma. That's the other thing I really don't like about Christianity. It's very racist. Tries to say it's all inclusive, but it was white dudes that wrote it. And by the way, these white dudes thought that slavery was completely okay. They also thought that sex slaves for the church was completely cool too. Anyway, Angel says it is a very straightforward. Everybody is making it far too complicated. Jesus taught the knowledge of how to enter a kingdom that was not of the world. You need to change, deny your own truth, throw fear, knowledge, and danger, Satan out of your heaven. Do away with anger, knowledge of injustice, according to yourself. Do not go by your own knowing. If our thoughts and emotions create our energy, being that we become a new being, that we will shift into other kingdoms where the will of God rules. And I appreciate everyone that you see my problem right there. If you got a God that's ruling, that ain't no God. God doesn't need worshipers, doesn't want them. And it isn't a he, not even serve as a she, but it would be more apt to be a she than a he. But if you're going to give me rules, that means if I break the rules, I get punished. That's a slave mentality. Now, if God breaks my rules, what happens then? Here's someone thinking, well, that's pretty damn arrogant of you. You trying to say that God has to obey you? Yeah, he does. Where do you get that at? From the Bible. Let's see. And his will is to subdue nature, rule over it, and have dominion. Well, if he created the damn thing, why would he need to subdue it and rule over it and have dominion? Didn't he create it? I mean, how fucking high do you got to go to say that you own it? So do away with your own truth. You enter into his kingdom. They say, I ain't leaving my truth. I'm supposed to leave my truth to another truth. This is a good thought process here. It's kind of like, doing the maze. You enter into his kingdom and his will is going to rule over you forever. And then if you still think and feel like a human being, you should ask if that is good. But that is what these teachings do. They create man on a level of energy being, and they shift your energetic shape. I love that. Oh, anyway, I'll stop here. I'm looking at the clock over there, and it's like, okay, that's good stuff. I love these answers. Just fabulous. I love this group. Stimulating. And we all don't have to agree. I have my critics. Some of them are in here, but that's all right. Nothing wrong with that. I often tell people, if people got time where I'm in their heads, all right. Mission accomplished, right? Well, folks, I do. This has been fun, and we'll continue. I mean, in the weeks and months to come, we'll continue. I've got a whole list of books. And I am going to get that list out, calling to you as well on the Byzantine period. A book you should really read, have in your library is Caesar's Messiah. Going to try to reach out to Joseph and get him on. I keep on saying this book by James O'Donnell. I got to tell you what, phenomenal book. We're going to get into this. I'm going to get the Kindle edition because we got to read this as a group. And we may not read the whole thing. We'll probably do an excerpts out of that. So, and another good one, since we were talking on, this is a great book. Again, this is Elaine Pagel's book, The Origins of Satan. Again, academic level reading, but excellent in its context and content of information. So, Joe, what's up? One would say we just leave one cult for another. I don't know. I don't even think anyone here worships anything. There's no one asking for money. There's no one asking to sacrifice. I don't know. I don't see it. I see us as a group of seekers. All my life, I've been associated with seekers. My youth, when the state of Texas, and by the way, the state of Texas, you owe me money. You owe me for 4 freaking years of support that you put my ass out on the street in the Montrose area at the age of 15. But anyway, I digress. By the way, I wouldn't have had it any other way. But I mean, my life, I was a nomad. As a kid that didn't have a home, didn't have anything. But I had intellectuals. I had seekers of knowledge. I also had rock and roll, some of the best drugs in the world, and kick-ass sex. So not bad. I got to see most of the great bands. Not bad. I got to take journeys with the shaman that led me into places of understanding. I realized at a very early age that there are multiple planes that I exist on. Now, I experienced it. I know some of you. Amazing how we come together, isn't it? After all these years. All the LSD, the mescaline, the peyote, the psilocybin. As Jimmy Buffett, the late buddy, said, I made enough money to buy Miami, but I pissed it away so fast, But it's true. So, Juanina, that's just my existence. At least my life wasn't boring, Jose. It was not. It was not. Mm-mm. I am so appreciative to that which gave me consciousness, that it allowed me, that I had the opportunity to experience that time. It defines me now. I look back on all those people, those souls. I love every one of them. Hated a few, but I loved every one of them. Yeah. And that's why I can sit here today. Because as lost as I thought I was, what I realized today is that I was on the right path. I was on a path that I had chosen. And I prospered. I thrived. I evolved. I added to my experience. Pretty cool. I don't care what anyone says. And I hope you do as well. I appreciate every one of you. I really do. You each have your story, your experiences. I think it's just It's a very far out thing that we can still come together and mix those experiences and generate new experiences and feelings out of those. Some of us live vicariously by others, but that's how it's done. Yeah. All right, folks. Mary Wynn? Exactly. Roxy music. I love it. Yeah. Love is the drug I'm looking for. I love it. Woo. Y'all are far out group. All right. Hard Truth Hall. Hail. Is that right? Yeah, it's Hard Truth Hall. All right. Well, welcome here. Oh, well, you know what? What I like Hard Truth Hall is that we walk hand in hand, you know? That's way, if one kind of gets slipping off, the rest of us can hold that one up, you know? That's what makes it so groovy. Rage Against the Machine. I love you too. Right back at you. There's Brandon. Much love to you, brother. All right, folks, have yourselves a fantastic weekend. You know, interesting. I guess there has to be a beginning of in the beginning, right? So party hardy. Love the one you're with. And we'll see you again. Make sure to check out Nina on her show over there. Robert V has his show tonight as well. And thank you, Chloe. True, hon. It's Robert V and Nina on the Sunday Live Horns of the Goddess. Well, I can hook up with that. Hell yeah. All right. Love you, Soul Tribe. All right. See you on Monday. We're going to have, never know. I might come on in between. I don't know. So much love. Chloe says you went against all the odds and ate their heart out. Yeah. I'm still alive. That's what amazes me. A lot of those folks have crossed over, but yeah. So, right arm. Okay.